Well, a crime crisis and raging Omicron surge are threatening to derail President Biden's agenda as he approaches his first full year in office. Let's dig in with tonight's panel. We've got former Biden campaign surrogate Kevin Walling and Project 21 co-chair Horace Cooper. Good evening to both of you. Thanks for staying up with us.
Good evening.
Kevin,
Good evening.
Kevin, as the president, returns from Delaware, we're now 3 days into the new year. He is facing a whole host of sort of spiraling crises. There is the nationwide testing shortage. There is inflation. What if none of these sort of abates ahead of the midterms? I mean, what does it spell for the party?
Well, certainly, Jillian, the president has his plate full, and he's going to speak on the variant tomorrow in terms of the COVID crisis. He's going to give an update to the country, to your point, Jillian, in terms of the testing situation. 500 million tests going out this month to Americans. So certainly that is a key focus as he campaigned back in 2020 on ending the COVID crisis. That's the number one priority of this administration. But certainly, as you mentioned as well, inflation is certainly a key concern. He had a meeting today with some of the leading meat producers and the agriculture industry to talk about some of the rising costs around food and meat production in this country. So tackling these issues one by one, head on, with this president flying back from Wilmington today, as you mentioned, Jillian, to tackle all these issues. It's going to be a lot of things, like I said, on his plate, but he's up for all these tasks.
I mean, we certainly hope so. Horace, let's take a deeper look at spiking violent crime. I want to put up a map for you guys to take a look at. 17 cities in the United States set new homicide records this year. They're literally, you can see these cities, they're literally spread out across the nation in all directions, coast to coast. Some might argue that this is as big a threat to the nation as Omicron itself right now.
Well, they'd be right, actually. But let me just turn back just a little to the setup here about how the president is preparing for the new year. When you look at the various problems that our country faces, the first thing that comes to mind, and it's not just my take, it's the American people's take, President Biden has made it worse. He's made inflation worse. He's made the supply chain problem worse. He has so bungled COVID-19 management, he has made it worse. And now his Justice Department being much more interested in tracking parents who might be upset about CRT in the classroom rather than focusing like a laser on shutting down the rising crime wave. He has made it worse. And this is a reckoning that the American people are going to bring forward as a response to him having made it worse.
Kevin, you can kind of agree or disagree that whether he's made it worse. I'm guessing you disagree, but
I disagree.
Reality speaks for itself, though, and none of these crises have abated over the last year, and there are no signs that they're going to get any better again before the midterms, which is liable to spell disaster for your people.
Well, Jillian, let's tackle crime head on right now, right? We saw double-digit increases in the last year of the Trump administration, a growing trend that is horrifying on our city streets. We saw just as many homicides as we did in Chicago in the last year, 2020, of the Trump administration. So crime has been on the rise, I think, directly as a result of the helplessness that a lot of Americans are feeling with the COVID crisis. But the Biden administration and Department of Justice just 2 months ago announced $140 million more to hire 1,000 more cops on the streets. So Horace's point saying
Kevin,
that the Biden administration is making things worse is not right.
In the scope, I just want to interrupt you because in the scope of the federal government, right, $140 million is nothing. I mean, it's like pennies.
Well, Jillian, how about $350 billion? Passed in the American Rescue Plan last January by this administration solely by Democrats. Direct aid to state and local governments. Many of those governments are using that money to hire back police that were let go during the COVID crisis and to bring on more cops, including Republican governors that are doing just that, Jillian.
Horace, this is what Kevin lays out as a case that actually Jen Psaki has tried to make from the podium, which is that Democrats are the party of protecting police and shoring up police departments around the country. What do
We
you
are.
say?
When you pull the rug out from under law enforcement, when you at every stage work to create a excuse me, a false narrative that it is law enforcement that's the threat in our community, not actually the criminals. We had mayhem occur in the last summer of the Trump administration, and I didn't see any progressives, I didn't see any on the left stand up and say, President Trump, we will stand with you. If we need to bring in the National Guard, if we need to bring in a task force of federal prosecutors, what they said instead was they're marching, they're peaceful, or even mostly peaceful. All that happened was no support was allowed to shut this down in the last year, and now it has metastasized.
All right, take a quick listen to New York City's brand new mayor, Eric Adams.
I don't subscribe to the belief of some that we can only have justice and not public safety. We will have them both. Our police officers will be responsible. They will understand how to properly police our city, but we will also send a loud and clear message. You will not bring violence to this city.
Horace, just a couple seconds left, but I wanted to play that clip because it follows on to a point you made a moment ago. Is it really possible to do what this Democratic mayor wants to do? Is justice and public safety, are they compatible agenda items?
The drive by the left wing for so-called justice has been devastating for grandmothers, for toddlers, for small businesses. There needs to be a decision, set that radical agenda to the side, and let's go back to crime control and make our community safe again.
All right. Thanks to you both. Kevin, Horace, we got to leave it there. But Happy New Year to you both. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jillian. Happy